Now another day, another effect. And as you can see from the title, this time, it's the What's Poppin' effect. I was bumping the song the other day like I've done a lot for these past few weeks when this effect came to mind, and I actually do have a couple things to say about this whole What's Poppin' wave. So yeah. Let's talk about it. Now, Jack Harlow has definitely leveled up in 2020, especially these last 2 to 3 months. The guy has, of course, been grinding for a while, and it looks like this was the year that all that hard work finally paid off. When you think about it, it's kind of crazy how I made that. I listened to Jack Harlow video only 3 months ago, and there's already such a big contrast between where he was then and where he is right now. Now, that, gentlemen, and of course, ladies, that's that What's Poppin' stimulus package. The things one really big song can do for a rapper nowadays. I think this record right here is a good example of the power that lies in a really hot record. What's Poppin' by Jack Harlow has pretty much been the rocket to his career, the thing that helped him absolutely take off with force. And like I said earlier, he's been grinding for years. He's not a TikTok rapper, he's just a rapper who benefited from his song getting popular over there. There's a big difference. It's almost like calling, I was gonna say Blackie, but obviously Roddy Ricch, a TikTok rapper, because blew up on TikTok. The same thing with calling Polo G1 because Go Stupid has absolutely been going stupid over there. You get my point. Having some kind of foundation before that blow up is key, which is something I think Jack Harlow definitely has. On top of having musical talent, you know, he's not just a poster boy, he actually knows how to rap. One really big thing about Jack Harlow though is the image part. He's extremely marketable, and no, I'm not only saying that because he's white. A$AP Rocky is a really good example of another really marketable face in hip hop, but obviously Rocky is not white. He got that beautiful melanin on his skin, you know, kinda just like me. Juice WRLD is another good example of what a marketable face in the mainstream looks like. God rest that man's soul. But the image part in relation to Jack Harlow just makes him a very fitting face in the mainstream. He also has a really relatable persona, and at the same time that confident aura about himself, which directly connects to What's Poppin'. It is somewhat of a braggadocious rap record. It exudes a very confident and a little bit of a cocky vibe. You kind of just feel on top of the world when you're listening to it, which is a big part of why the song is so successful if you ask me. What's Poppin' is just another case of a rap song by a rapper who's not known to the mainstream but nails that, no pun intended, poppin' sound. I've talked about this before, but one of the quote-unquote dangers in getting a song this big is simply not being able to capitalize off of that wave at the next phase of your career. Meaning, as an example, when this What's Poppin' wave calms down and Jack Harlow drops a new body of work in the future, number one, how well is Jack Harlow gonna perform on whatever project he drops, aka will it be fire or not? Number two, how well is whatever he drops gonna do in comparison to what he dropped previously? And just to clarify, I'm not necessarily only talking about numbers here. I'm also concerned with what is the overall reception of that music gonna look like, aka how well is it received, and also how well will it age over time, etc. I think for someone like Jack, who's having hell of a year right now, showing that growth on phase 2 with whatever you do is key, because let's be honest, the whole perception game seems to be really key nowadays. Don't forget, there's a reason why it's called the rap game. I want you to look at it like this. There was a reason why so many people screamed, you know, TikTok rapper at Jack Harlow when the XXL cover got revealed. There's a perception that he is one, and that perception can a lot of times become the general public's opinion, which even though Jack has had a lot of those comments thrown at him, he's actually been able to escape that TikTok rapper stigma because most people have faith in what he's doing. Most people think he can go above and beyond just What's Poppin'. That's the case due to his track record. He proved that he could create a good body of work before getting that really big record. The funny thing about big moments like, for example, What's Poppin' is you actually gotta be prepared to get a song that's this big, because once you get it, it's almost like go time, you know, go, you got a hot record, what's next? How are you gonna capitalize off of this big opportunity and build a foundation for the rest of your career? Waves come and go, so you can't kick your feet up and start sipping on margaritas at the beach as soon as that big song comes. You gotta keep in mind, the bigger a rapper gets, the more that's at stake, the easier it is for them to fall off, because now they're actually on, which previously they weren't. It's really about getting to that next one. What steps am I gonna take to level up just a little bit more? We've seen cases of rappers who've gotten those really big moments and things haven't progressed for them career-wise after that. Blockboy JB is an example I used a few videos ago. That Drake Look Alive feature had enough of an impact impact on his career to the point where he was pretty hot for a couple months, but that wave eventually subsided like it always does, and now in 2020 you really don't hear that much about him anymore. He dropped a pretty good song titled Count Up a few weeks back, but unfortunately people just aren't checking for Blackboy JB at the moment. Designer is another good example. Obviously Panda was huge. As a matter of fact, I'd say that it was way bigger than What's Poppin' is right now for sure. But the Panda Effect, of course, I just had to sneak that in there somehow, but the Panda Effect was working against Designer. Timmy Turner was his second biggest record, but nothing that he dropped after that stood up against Panda or Timmy Turner. This is another sad case because he did drop a lot of good songs even after that. Outlet was a really good one. I feel like that one was slept on heavy in comparison to Timmy Turner or even Panda. He dropped a really dope song this year titled Diva. Now that's probably the best one I've heard from him in a while. I think every really big song in hip hop nowadays tells us something about the game though. It almost serves as a reflection of what people really want to hear, because a song like What's Poppin' is reaching and going beyond just the hip hop demographic. You gotta keep in mind that a song like What's Poppin' would have never really been poppin' if it dropped in 2012 or even 2013. Obviously back then the young boys, and I'm not talking about NBA YoungBoy, I'm just talking about young rappers, you know, but back then if you think about it, the youth wasn't really running hip hop, which it is right now. I think considering the kind of sound a record like What's Poppin' has, it really does make sense why it is so big. It is a very cool sounding song, which the kids, you know, they like that sound. You kind of have to embody that What's Poppin', the box, go stupid sound nowadays to get a song at this level. Of course, there's a lot of anomalies, not saying it's impossible if you don't. All I'm saying though is if you look at all these three songs as an example, there's something really consistent that you hear in all three of them that you also hear in a lot of other big rap songs that are out right now or have reached this kind of level. If I had to pick one really negative thing about hip hop in 2020, this would definitely be it. Yes, there's a lot of diversity for sure in the game in terms of different kinds of rappers. There's a huge selection of different flavors in the game. You know, it's almost like that supermarket effect, but everything that reaches that mainstream level seems to be super predictable sounding, and it's that cool sound that What's Poppin' embodies that I'm talking about. And I think this is actually where the effect in itself comes in. A song like What's Poppin' isn't really something we haven't heard before, right? It's not a groundbreaking rap song, right? Which does it really need to be? It doesn't mark an important time in hip hop, which does it really need to? It does mark an important time in Jack Harlow's career, and it does actually do a lot for white rappers specifically. Jack Harlow is indirectly helping his fellow young white rappers by being that guy who's being received by the game with open arms. And when I say this, keep in mind, I'm talking about rappers from this generation. We of course got someone like Eminem who's done a lot for white rappers, but of course Eminem wouldn't necessarily be a good example to use in a case like this. I almost feel like G-Eazy was starting to become that guy when he got introduced to the game on a mainstream level back in 2014. Do you remember how G-Eazy had that one song titled I Mean It that was highly popping back in 2014 and even going into 2015? I think what happened to G-Eazy was, just speaking from a white rapper perspective, is he did actually get embraced by his fellow industry artists, you know, collaborated with people like A$AP Ferg in 2014, also collaborated with guys like Big Sean and Chris Brown in 2015. He had Me, Myself, and I on that same project, which became an absolute smash hit. But G-Eazy got that you're the corny white rapper treatment from hip-hop because he simply didn't relate to the average hip-hop fan, and ever since then, that's kind of been the general opinion of G-Eazy. By the way, random, but now that I think about it, I do actually got a couple things to say about G-Eazy, so if that's a video you want me to make, drop it in the comment section below. Anyway, back to Jack Harlow. I feel like Jack Harlow has yet to get that kind of treatment, which is obviously a very good thing. You gotta keep in mind, even someone like Logic has fell into that trap, even though he's, and yes, I'm gonna say it, he's biracial. Jack Harlow is a really interesting case though. I'm really curious how he's gonna proceed after What's Poppin'. These extremely big hit records can sometimes low-key be somewhat of a curse. There's somewhat of a dark side to it that can, in hindsight, after the moment is over, after the wave has died down, sometimes, just sometimes, take over. And especially if you get overwhelmed by all the success, aka whatever Guap said, you get lost in a sauce. So yeah, the What's Poppin' effect. There you have it. Like I said in the beginning of the video, another day, another effect. I just be casually pulling out all these effects from my little Blackie dictionary. I keep that dictionary on me like NBA YoungBoy keeps a Glock on him. Anyway, the What's Poppin' effect featuring Jack Harlow. What's your thoughts on this effect? Definitely let me know in the comment section below and let's have a discussion about this.